It was warm, and she could make out the sound of water dripping in the distance. Sweat had beaded up on her upper lip, and she began to feel a drop running from her temple down to her chin where it rested. She drew up a leg and felt the cool air on her kneecap before her eyes slowly opened. She sat up in a large tub of water in a panic and looked around the stark bathroom. She couldn't remember getting into the tub or whose tub it was. She stood up and then slowly tried to steady herself. Her equilibrium was off, and her head was pounding as fast as her heart. Gingerly, she stepped onto the sterile white tile floor, reached for the white towel that rested on the toilet lid next to her, and dried off as quickly as she could, wrapping it around her, leaving her wet hair scattered. Cautious still, she opened the bathroom door leading out into a very large room with a high ceiling and cement floor. The room contained a long row of beds down the center. Something was amiss. She had to be in some type of hospital, she rationalized, as panic constricted her throat. She couldn't remember anything. "Hello?" she called out, finally finding her voice. "Anybody here?" In the stretched row of identical beds under white sheets and thin pale gray comforters, there was one unmade bed, and at the foot was a small folded stack of clothing. She rushed over to the pile and grabbed a pair of white panties, a heather t-shirt, and mock boxers. Her own pajamas. She was completely confused. Had she been abducted from her house? Did she get in the tub, or did someone else put her in it? Why couldn't she remember anything? Only the fight. Where was Elyse? The unmade bed was in the center of a row in the dimly lit U-shaped room with 8 pewter walls. She noted the absence of windows and couldn't tell what day it was or what time of day it was. Deniz had awakened in strange places before, usually in someone's house, with life easily accessible, in some car or outside on someone's lawn, but never as isolated as this. Never in water. "Somebody's got to be around here," she said loudly. "I didn't get here by myself." There was no decor, hint of charm or friendliness, and after scanning the room, she didn't see any doors other than the one to the bathroom. She went to one of the walls and began frantically feeling on it. When she reached the single wall that jutted out towards the center of the room, she looked up the wall and saw an outline of a door that blended so closely with the wall that she hadn't spotted it earlier. The door had no knobs, no window. Again, she examined the room, this time for something to climb onto or throw at it. The only items in the room were pillows, blankets, and the bed frames, which she discovered, after attempting to shift one, were cemented into the floor. "I'm awake! Somebody talk to me! Somebody come get me!" Deniz bellowed from the foot of the door. A female voice came from under the row of beds. "Good morning, Miss Deniz. Take it easy, honey. Try to relax." When Deniz recognized where the voice was coming from, she scrambled for the beds, got on her hands and knees, and surveyed the entire row. There were speakers coming out of the cement floor. "Everything's going to be all right." Unconsciously, Deniz relaxed a bit. At least the voice was that of a woman's and not of some male cannibalist rapist. Maybe the woman wasn't that big. Maybe Deniz could take her. It didn't stop her heart from pounding, however. She had no idea who this woman was and didn't appreciate being trapped in this room or unknowingly stripped of her clothing. damn it! You can't hold me hostage like this. A violent, deafening alarm flashed through the speakers, making Denise jump and cover her ears with a pillow. Watch yourself, Denise, the composed voice said after the noise stopped. That type of cut, rape, gum beating is not permitted here. She was incensed at being treated like a child. You! I'm 50 years old. Denise got up and shouted at the door. I can say whatever Again, the alarm punctured her tirade, even more ear-splitting, and lasted twice as long as before. Then, silence. The single 60-watt exposed bulb that lit the room began to slowly dim until there was only a thread of light left, leaving the room intensely black. Denise groped around in the dark, then, like a pouting delinquent, flopped back on the unmade bed, where her thoughts turned to Elyse. God, I hope she's not going through this too. Denise recalled all that she could about the last time life seemed normal. It felt like yesterday. The bar, the drinks, the graying olive man, the doe-eyed brunette, the fight, the cold. Kidnapped. That's the only conclusion her mind could conjure. Her heart sank, and she began to feel nauseated with dread and fear as she rolled over the same questions, like a looped recording. Where was she? And who was her captor? Denise got up in the dark and screamed. Where is Elyse? No answer. How did I get here? Still no response. Answer me! Hungry, confused, and frightened, Denise went back to the bed and sat in gorilla-like stillness. The room brightened, slow like sunrise. She heard the sudden sound of large gears grinding in the jutting wall, and the high door began to move down toward the floor. No, it wasn't just the door. The whole wall was moving. She sat frozen on the bed, staring at the wall, uncertain of what to anticipate and terrified of the possibilities. When the door was completely floor level, the noise stopped. The wall stopped moving, and for what seemed like a generation, the room was still. The door opened, and a thin, wheat toast-colored woman with inch-long nails and waist-length auburn dreadlocks stepped into the room, closing the door behind her. With a slight smile, she marched over and stood 2 inches shorter before Denise. Easy, Duchess. It's early, bright, and you just now jumped port. Wipe that silly-ass smirk off your face. Denise growled. I got a lot of questions for you, and I don't know what the hell you just said. You're blowing your wig, Denise, the woman said patiently. How the hell do you know me? I don't know you. You will. What kind of answer is that? It's not an answer. It's a statement. Denise was wavering on the edge of hysterics. Who are you, and where am I, and how did I get here, and where is Elyse? We'll be jib-jabbing later. It's too early to be spouting so hard. But I'm hip to your hurt, Ma. So, which question is most important? Denise was exasperated at this woman's aversion. They all are important, equally. Denise took a step back to better assess the woman. They are not, the woman said firmly. Who are you? Denise blurted out in frustration, then regretted her choice. The woman looked at her in silence for a few moments before answering, very slowly, shifting her weight and folding her arms behind her. My name is Genesis, and I'm only here to help. Don't be salty with me, okay? I understand your alarm, honey, so help me. We have nothing but good intentions here. You hungry? Genesis motioned for Denise to follow her as she turned and headed through the door. Exploring her options, Denise decided it was best to try to escape, to punch Genesis, and try to make a break for the door on her own. The second she made a move to strike her, Genesis grabbed Denise, and before she knew it, Genesis had straddled Denise face down on the floor with both of her arms behind her back. Denise cried out in pain, and without raising her voice, Genesis spoke clearly and quietly in her ear.
Take it slow, D. You try that again, and I'll snap your neck.
Then she released her. Denise hesitated before she grudgingly followed her out. The door led to an elevator type of room about the size of a studio apartment, lit with black lights from the ceiling, furnished with a sofa, reclining chair, and folk art paintings on the walls. One piece of hanging artwork that caught Denise's eye, even in her distressed condition, was the largest one. It was a two-dimensional painting of a slightly overweight Asian woman laying on her back in bed with her eyes closed, almost enveloped by yellow and white flowers, and a black woman who looked a lot like Genesis at the foot of her bed.
You'll get used to me,
Genesis whispered. Denise quietly sighed. This could be the beginning or the end. In that moment, Denise buckled under the weight of her momentary defeat and waited for her second wind of rage to bust her out of this strange prison.